So Janine, solopreneur, author of The Thriving Solopreneur, author on her 12th book for solopreneurs, and the founder of the 8-Gates LLC. Anyways, I would love for you to fill us in a little bit more, Janine, about the things that helped you get started, because I know that you started at such a young age. So how did you become an entrepreneur at such a young age?
Well, it really started with the fact that I wanted candy, and my parents were of the type that they were like, they wouldn't give me an allowance, right? They were like, hey, you're going to help the family out. I'm not giving you an allowance for that. So I wanted candy. So I had to go and start my own business so I could do that. And so that was the beginning. That's what really got me into it at 10 years of age. I was figuring out how can I make some coins so I can have some candy. So that's what was the driving, motivating factor.
Fantastic. And so smart. So instead of just bugging your parents, you made it happen yourself. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, how did you make that happen?
Oh, in that particular case, that was at a time when you were allowed to tip your baggers, and we lived in a foreign country. We lived in the Bahamas. I was on a little tiny island called Eleuthera. And so the military men and women on the naval facility would, do their groceries, and we had a little box for tips, and I would go and I'd help them carry their groceries to their car. I would, bag their groceries and stuff like that. And that was how I went about making it happen for me. That was my very first entrepreneurial venture. And some people are like, well, no, you were an employee. I went, oh no, I was a contractor at that point. I was a military contractor, so to speak, at age of 10.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So from there, you just sort of continued your journey. You knew that you had the entrepreneurial bug from that point. You knew that you could make things happen for yourself. So fill us in on what happened after that.
Okay. Do you mind if I share my slides and go through my presentation? And I promise you will not have death by PowerPoint. I promise I will not do that to you. I'm a college professor. And let me tell you something, students nowadays will let you know if they do not like what you're sharing, right? So I promise you will not die from PowerPoint. We'll go through this very, very quickly. And I wanted to encourage your people not to worry too much about taking notes, because there are going to be a lot of things we're going to give them access to afterwards on this. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Kim for giving me an opportunity to share with you what I know. I can take off 7 years on your learning curve, and I can save you $28,000 by not making the same mistakes that I made. Okay, so we'll go through this pretty quickly. So I was known for over 25 years as a financial first responder. And that was because initially I went to college and I became an analytical biochemist. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I made drugs for a living. And I like to say, hello, legal ones. And people are like, oh yeah, Breaking Bad in the basement. I'm like, you can check my basement. No, I'm not making stuff in the basement. But in 1996, something happened. I got the flu. It didn't seem to want to go away. Come to find out, I was pregnant. And after 10 years of marriage, that was a shocker. For some reason, the pharmaceutical industry did not want me working on the viruses that I was working on at the time. We were working on this thing called AIDS. We didn't know what it was. Come to find out, it was HIV, that kind of thing. My income dropped by 54% when I left the working world. I created the 60-40 principle, and that was because I was panicked. I read 60 books on personal finance because I was terrified by what was going to happen with the fact of us going from double income, no kids, to a single income and a child. All right. So I created this 60-40 principle, and this is what it would look like. This is the way I taught my students and everything. I grabbed a sheet of paper or be on a whiteboard, and I would run through that. And so I wrote 4 books on personal finance, how to help yourself with money, created a podcast show, The 3-Minute Money Tip. And I had a rule, and I would like you to take this rule. I'd like you to absorb it, integrate it. Do not go into debt for your business. Now, you will hear very financially savvy people talk about strategic debt, but unless you have $2 million that you have access to that you can liquidate, strategic debt is not something that you are going to want to invest in at this time. So before we get into all that argument, I just wanted to throw that hat in that particular ring. So in 2022, January of this year, I wrote my last book that I plan on writing on finances, and that is Ditch Your Debt While Banking Bucks on Your Current Income. And I'd love for you guys to get into the chat and say hashtag Kim Rocks, hashtag Love Kim. Why? Because I'm going to let you have this book for free, a digital copy. And we have links that you will have access to where you can sign up not only for this, but we had this little thing called COVID happen. And when COVID happened, I had this huge event that I rented out a hotel ballroom. I was ready to rock and roll. And of course, everybody had to get maxed up. And so we got special permission from the hotel. So we did a whole video series that cost me $1,800 to have the videographer there, but you'll get all that for free. Why? Because we love Kim and she gave me an opportunity to talk to you today. And so go ahead and she will let you know how you get that. You can go to financialfirstresponse.com and you can click on the big red button that says start now, and that will get you started into that. So I say that to you that if you are in debt, you're one of those entrepreneurs, you're going to have to do two things at once. You're going to have to make money and cut costs at the same time. You kind of double your workload, but hey, you're an entrepreneur. We're used to that. Okay. You'll be able to work that out. You'll figure it out. So let's talk about basic business building right here. The very first thing you do as an entrepreneur is you decide, what does your work week look like? A lot of people skip this step. A lot of people just say, I'm going to go in, I'm going to work like crazy, I'm going to make money, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they burn out within 18 months or less, and they really can run themselves into debt. And I want to prevent you from doing that. I want you to set the time. See, the problem that a lot of people have is they think the harder I work, the more money I'll make. And that's not necessarily the case. It is the better systems you have, the more money you will make. And the reason I have this crack-filled pavement here on the slide is what you're going to do is most of your life is that street, but the cracks represent the time you want to dedicate to your business. Okay, I'm sorry, the slides are doing weird things here. They're going super fast. So what I was trying to say was here you are with this is the street, that's your life. You only want the business to run certain cracks because guess what? You can thrive as a business owner just working specific hours. Don't tell me you can't. I've seen plants do amazing things when it comes to cracks and narrow places in their world. Why? Because when I started running my first business, I worked a full-time job and I was doing a multi-level marketing thing. And I only had 4 hours on Saturday to build my multi-level marketing thing. And that multi-level marketing thing actually is making money now because of systems and automation I put into place. And I did that on 4 hours a week. So let's talk to you about how your calendar is your dashboard. And I don't care if you use a digital calendar or an analog piece of paper calendar. However, you will do better, you will do faster, you will be more efficient if you move digitally. But some people have to start with the analog and then move to digital. And that's fine. Whatever you want to do. Every successful person, whether they were an entrepreneur, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or multimillionaire, I know has a habit. And that habit is they take 1 day a week and they spend 2 hours and they focus on what life do they want, not their business. They are focused on what is the lifestyle I want. Am I living according to my values? Am I doing the things that I want to be doing when it comes to my life? And the answer is, I really hope the answer is yes. But if it's not, that Sunday for that 2 hours is you're taking time to make sure that you're living in accordance with your moral compass, whatever that looks like. And it's also on those Sundays where you plan out what you're going to be doing for the rest of the week and what it is that you want to accomplish. What are the big factors that you actually want to use? What are the big projects or what is 3 things you want to get done that particular week? That's where this is all planned out. And these are the systems that you use so that you create routines to help you. Now, when we had 2020 and everything shut down, we had a huge number of people, as you know, that moved out of the workforce, no longer were employees, they became entrepreneurs. And a lot of the MLM companies hired me to come in and teach them the systems that I used to get my own MLM up and running, my own thing. So I'd sent out cards, Young Living, Avon. It was like we had over 158 people that were on our calls just getting training because they did not know how to be entrepreneurs. It is a different lifestyle. it requires very different skill sets. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. So you'll hear this a lot in the workaday world, almost never, but you will in the entrepreneurial world. And that is, are you working on your business or are you working in your business? Now, I will be quite frank. When I first heard this, I just wanted to scream, what in blazes are you saying? It's a simple preposition. You're just changing the preposition a little bit. And what they're actually talking about is when you're working in your business, that's like what you did as an employee. That's the technician part of you. That's you taking care of your clients, helping move product out, taking care of customers, what you normally would have done as an employee. But when you are working on your business, that is only in the realm of entrepreneurship that I have ever seen this happen. Working on your business means there are 4 hours a week. You cannot work in your business. You must work on the business. So, Janine, what blazes are you talking about? Well, glad you asked. We're going to talk about how you nurture your business in 4 hours a week. And those 4 hours are prospecting. You do that for an hour. You do follow-up for an hour. You do connecting for an hour. And you do training for an hour. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they always love missing that training part, but that's important. So let's go through them a little bit slower. What is prospecting? Prospecting is getting new people into your life, as well as letting the people you already know that you're running a business. So when you look at your Facebook, your contacts in your phone or your LinkedIn accounts, especially when it comes to anybody and everybody that's on your phone, do they know that you're in business for yourself? Do they know what you do? I'm not saying you sell to them. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is we're letting them know that I am now in business for myself and this is what I do. And you want to make it down to 3 words. Remember, I was a financial first responder. Okay, 3 words. What do you do? I'm a financial first responder. People say, Janine, what do you do now? And I say, I'm a white glove podcaster. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, my team and I are concierge podcasters. See, you want them to ask you what that means. So you want to make sure that you can say what you do in 3 words. Doesn't necessarily have to make sense, but you want the next question to be, what is that? And that way you can take a few moments, note I say a few moments, less than 5 seconds to tell them what it is that you do. But there are people you already know, and that's what you start doing when you're prospecting, is letting them know that you are in the world of entrepreneurship. You want to create a master contact sheet so that you can keep track of all the people that you are in touch with. And that looks like a Google Sheet or a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, or if you have a Mac, it's numbers. And it looks like this. We've seen them our whole lives. Spreadsheets, yes, you want to make sure that you're tracking the date that you talk to somebody, their contact information. Everybody has their own system for what this looks like exactly. The thing is you will kill your business if you don't have this up and running and doing some sort of automation or system with it. This is the beginning. This is how you keep track of who you are talking to, what you're saying to them, and when do you need to connect with them next. The next one, and you've heard this a lot, the fortune is in the follow-up. Yes, we've heard this a lot, but if you don't have systems, if you don't have routines in place, and you're not doing relentless follow-up with people, that will be death to your business. There are so many people who, because I send them a card per month throughout the year, eventually they come around 3 or 4 years later and they'll say, hey, Janine, I now need you. I've finally finished my book. I'm ready for help. Okay. So that's follow-up. You're going to spend an hour a week doing that. An hour a week, you will be connecting on Facebook or social media. Now, some people say, oh my gosh, Janine, I spend more than that per week. And I'm like, that's all I give myself permission to do. So I only spend an hour a week on social media. And why is that? Because I have a team that I hire that makes a lot less money than I do per hour, doing the social media posting and all that kind of stuff. If you're one of those people who are like, Janine, I can't afford a virtual assistant, then I'm like, go on to TaskRabbit or go on to some of these apps where you can hire people intermittently. Let them know what you want them to do, but make sure that you're not doing a lot of administrative stuff that somebody else can do, especially if you don't like it. I don't like it. What I don't like doing, I hire out, okay? If I can't afford it, I find a way to afford it, okay? I don't want to be doing stuff I don't like. Also, I follow up using send out cards. That's my MLM thing I was telling you about. I'm not here to sell you on this. I'm just saying this was a system, custom made. It's a multi-level marketing thing, but it's perfect for me. There's all kinds of different systems out there. I happen to like send out cards. That's why I went with that. That's a part of my follow-up. Every time somebody does something nice for you, I hope you're sending them thank you cards. What? You don't have their address? Well, that should be part of the things you're asking for before you get off your Zoom meeting. Just letting you know. The last hour a week is going to be training yourself and your team. Your team can be anyone from the people you hire on TaskRabbit to what have you, but you need to spend an hour a week training yourself and reading. So in a perfect world, here you go, perfect world, this is what your calendar would look like. By the way, this is not how my calendar looks, but this is how it starts off on Sundays. From Sunday at 6 a.m., you will see me at my desk doing my 2 hours. I do that religiously every Sunday. Even when I'm out of town and traveling, I'm running through my questions. I'm making sure things are set up. Now, remember, when I first started the system many, many years ago, I was working a full-time gig. I was working from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay. And so you can see the hour before, I would get to work an hour early and I would start working, but it was on my side business. Now, my boss knew about this, by the way. This was not like I was sneaking, nothing like this. I let my boss know, may I come in early? May I have your permission to do X, Y, Z? And I didn't use any of the resources except electricity. Okay. And the phone. And he was totally okay with that. I was very upfront. Okay. The next thing I'd like to share with people is that on Saturdays, I had this training program because I was training my team as well. So that kind of just let you know. Now you see there that there's the singing happy birthday. I have that in my calendar because that's one of the easiest things that LinkedIn and Facebook lets us do is it tells us when it's people's birthdays. Birthdays are a great time to ask for, you guessed it, addresses. Because you want to send them cards on their birthday, or why don't you be really novel and send them cards on their half birthday? That's a lot of fun too. It just depends on how you want to do it. Grab yourself a bunch of cards, doesn't have to be complex, and start sending post, okay? Direct mail is one of the surest ways. You have a 99.9% open rate with direct mail. Did you know that? As long as you don't send postcards. All right. The other thing is, just like this beautiful backyard picture that this is not my backyard. This is a friend of mine's backyard. But it took them 10 years of consistent effort to get their backyard looking like this. All right. It's the same way with your business. It's going to take time. It's going to grow naturally, and it will take consistent effort. And I just want you to be aware of that. And part of that consistent effort is continually adding to your master contact sheet and following up with people. Ask for those addresses. Don't be afraid to ask for those addresses, especially when you're doing your prospecting. So now we have some free stuff that I wanted to share with you. Why? Because I really like Kim. I like her people. She gave me an opportunity here to chat with you folks about what's going on. She has amazing programs. I hope you guys have checked out not only what she's got rolling with her newsletter, but also the programs that she's offering. Okay. And it's because of her, you have an opportunity to get the digital copy of the Thriving Solopreneur. You'll have an archive of all of my articles in there. And I want you to put in that thing in the chat, hashtag Kim is the best, hashtag we love Kim. Why? Because if it weren't for her, we wouldn't all be here, right? She has created an amazing community. If you want to know how to really seriously build community, this is the woman that can help you. And I will be glad to help you with time management and working on your work week. But Kim is the one that's going to help you build. And you really want to make sure that she is there in your life. So here is Prospecting 2.0. This is one of my favorite things to share with people, especially when I'm talking with them. I got 3 boxes. As you can tell, these were very expensive and got them at the dollar store. My kids used them, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people say, well, how do you go about prospecting, Janine? What do you do? Well, here you go. Do you have business cards? Other people's? Come on, we haven't been locked down for our entire life. We were only like 2 years, right? And so what you do is, you know, all those business cards that you find everywhere, here is a 3-box system that you can use for all those crazy business cards. Because guess what? People's lives have changed drastically in the last 2 years. And this is a perfect way for you to reconnect and figure out what's going on in their lives. So you take a box and you label it box 1, box 2, box 3. Oh, slides. Where are you going? Oh, here we are. box 3, as you can tell, very classy system I got here. And then I dug around, and everywhere I found business cards, I stuffed them in box 1. And then I would take a card, I would put it in my master contact list that I just showed you in my sheet, and I would call the number on the phone, and I would see if I could get a hold of somebody. If I couldn't, I would then email them and say, hey, left you a voicemail, would love to get in touch with you. A lot's happened since we last connected. Take care, Janine. Okay. And then I'd move on to the next one. Now, what did I do with that business card though? Oh, it was amazing. What you do is you put it in box number 2 and you follow up in 2 weeks and you call them again and you email them. Move it to box 3, wait 2 weeks, call them and give them another email. If they don't contact you after you've tried 3 times to reconnect with that individual, drop it into the trash can and move on. You want people who want to talk to you. You don't want to have to chase people, okay? Also, I have scripts. I have ways that you can talk to them on the phone in an article that's in that program on the Thriving Solopreneur that Kim gave you the link to there in the chat. So the biggest thing is make sure you have systems, make sure you have routines, and make sure you have targets. So like in my case, when it comes to follow-up, when I have that 3-box system, my goal is to get through at least 5 cards an hour. But sometimes, good heavens, somebody answers the phone and I end up talking for the full hour. Is that a bad thing? No. Did I hit my target? Yes. I have connected with one person that week, and I will take a lot of good care to make sure to send them a thank you card afterwards for their time. This is basic business building. And there are so many people that ignore this stuff, but this is literally the basic steps. So here you go. This is the next one. And that is, what are the basic steps? You have this downloadable in the course that Kim is going to be kind enough to give you the link to. When you go from being an employee to an entrepreneur, sometimes they forget the basic stuff. And forgive me if you find this insulting, but honestly, I have coached people that did not know. It is very important that you set up your own business checking account. Make sure that you have a separate checking account, and then make sure you have Venmo, PayPal, or Wise attached to that checking account that is totally separate from your personal finances. It's very important that you do that. Makes taxes a lot easier, and the IRS doesn't have time to deal with you. It just makes it a lot simpler. The next thing is set up a monthly giveaway or a program of some kind so that you can invite people to sign up and join you on your thing. You got yourself a perfect example here in Kim Speed. Here she is once a month, having crazy people like me on, talking to you about business building, right? Well done, Kim. Then you post your creation socially. Now, this was originally written for the basics of how to be an abundant artist, because artists are also business owners, but they think that they're unique and special, which they are. We all know everyone's a special little snowflake, don't we? There is no business that is the same as anybody else's business. However, as an artist, you have to really encourage them to get on the phone and talk to people. They are more introverted than most of the authors I've had to work with on this. But what you want to do is get on Facebook or LinkedIn, Instagram, and let people see what you're doing. Now, it's not really all that exciting what I do. I'm an author. Oh, yay. You can only do so many pictures of you sitting at your keyboard typing. So what I do is I also throw up there, what is the book of the week I'm reading? What is it I'm learning? Let people know what you're doing in your business. And if you can, get action shots of what you're doing. Of course, my favorite is standing in line at the post office, because I do that a lot as I ship out my books. And yep, I do use TaskRabbit to have people go to the post office for me certain times. So there you go. The other one is post monthly winners. Let people know that you're willing to give a little bit of free stuff out, and let people know, hey, when I collect your mailing address, that's just so I can send you cards to thank you for being in my life, for taking time out to be on Zoom with me. This is yet another form of follow-up. Number 9, and the most important one, relax. Yes, we know you need to make a living. Yes, we know you have the mortgage due. Yes, we understand that you have bills. But if you're super tense, that's going to come through when you're talking to people. Find ways to relax. And everybody's going to have to figure that particular one for themselves on how you go about doing that. But the more tense I am, the less I'm on the phone or talking to people. I make sure that I'm very relaxed before I get into business mode. Okay? So now it's time for some good mail. If you are interested in receiving a postcard from me or a card from me once a month, I have a program that I run through that. And you are welcome to go to my website where you can fill out this form. And no, I do not sell in my cards. I give you funny cards. I try to make you laugh. I try to get a giggle out of you. I do jokes, that kind of thing. That's what my cards are. On the back, you might find my podcast thumbnail every once in a while, but I don't sell when it comes to my cards. Why? Because for me, this is the biggest joy of my life, is the hour per day I spend sending cards to people that I care about. It's just kind of my give back after the fun and joy that we've had over the last 2 years. So that's what I have to offer, and I am more than happy to open it up to any questions.
Janine, that was awesome. And I love all of the things that you say that you actually do in 4 hours, because I do find myself sometimes, bleeding into the more hours. But I love that you said what you said about the follow up 3 times, and then it's done. So don't waste your time. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Does anybody have any questions for Janine? You have to get a copy of her books. There, I have one here. It's just amazing. It's a fast read, but it was so much great information on just running your business so efficiently. Martina says, I use send out cards for one of my clients. Her clients love getting birthday and Christmas cards. Yes, yes. You know what's funny is I have a send out cards and I have forgotten to use it. And you have reminded me to do that. It is a great little way, especially, as you said, after everybody being, shut away from each other and not having contact, having that way to connect with them again. What a great idea. A great idea.
For those of you who do send out cards or have banner cards, I don't care, whatever service you're using, it's all good. Okay. Take screenshots like this Zoom meeting. What Kim doesn't know is I'm taking a screenshot of she and I at the Zoom meeting, and then I'll be sending her a card and brownies because she gave me an opportunity to speak to you lovely people. And so that's what I do for people who give me an opportunity to speak on their stage, to talk to their community. Are you kidding me? What a sweetheart. So that's why I do things like that. It was great seeing you on Zoom. Those are wonderful things that you can do for folks. Just an idea you can throw out there.
Amazing, amazing. And the simple little things. And what I loved about send out cards, or any of, as you said, it doesn't have to be send out cards. It can be any of the systems, is to have a way to just go online and have it sent for you. Then you don't even have to have somebody that goes to the post office for you, right? Right,
exactly.
Yeah, I love it. How is everybody else doing, and have you got any questions? Susan or Tyler, Martina, and is it Walter? Is it, or I just see W House. So yeah.
One of I think the biggest things that people can remember is when you move from being an employee to an entrepreneur, be as jealous of your time as you were as an employee, be as jealous of your time as an entrepreneur. I highly recommend that you get some sort of a scheduling system. And if people say, hey, I need to talk to you, and they're like, oh, you don't have any times on my calendar that work for me, then you can say, well, what does work for you? And then decide whether or not that's really the type of person you want to deal with. One of the things that was interesting to me is I've been working from home in a home office since 1996. And I was a part of this little company that didn't know, nobody knew that much about, called Zoom. And I was running online university courses during that period of time. And it was in 2015 and 16. And I would spend the first course, the first day was always download your software. And this is how you use Zoom and blah, blah, blah. And now everybody is here. And I feel like everybody's joined my party, which is great. However, now we have access to everybody all over the world. And let me tell you something about how easy it is as an entrepreneur to find yourself getting into that 24/7 trap, because you talk to somebody in Italy, or you talk to somebody in Australia, And they're not even on the same day. You've crossed the international date line at that point. So trying to find times that will work, I would be very select on who that is. I wouldn't go after prospects that are difficult to schedule. I would not go after prospects that are difficult people. These are not the people that you want to spend your time working with. And I know when you first start, a lot of times you're like so hungry for any kind of work. I just want to let you know, you're going to end up having 80% of your time chewed up by disgruntled people doing that. And so I would like you to really make sure you are very stubborn about your calendar.
Yes, yes, that's great information. And I do know when I started, that was one of the things, like you feel like you can't say no to anybody at the time. But you do quickly realize that not everybody is for you because they can suck the life out of you if it's not the right fit. And, you know, as you said, be efficient with your time. That can really, you know, eat up so much more time if it's not working well. Yes, 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 yes. So Janine, you have all of these gifts for everybody. That is amazing. Make sure that you get, I didn't put the first financial response one in.
Yeah, the financial first response, that's for anybody who's in debt, or if you have a family member who's in debt, feel free to give them the link. It's totally free. I'm not going to pummel them. I think I actually email that list maybe once a month. I don't really mess with those people. I let them go through it. But if you know of somebody who's in debt or who's really suffering because they weren't given a very good education on finances, that's a great place to start. And then I usually very quickly move them to other types of people that have programs going on at that time. Yeah.
And I love what you said too about as a solopreneur, so many people are trying to convince you that you need to invest. And you said, don't go into debt. Don't go into debt to start your business.
Right. Don't go into debt to do pretty much anything with your business unless you have, and I've just seen it over and over. And I've had some business owners really argue with me. I mean, go toe to toe. And I smiled at them and I'm like, but you were able to sleep at night, right? Like you're fine, right? After your 4 bypasses, quadruple bypass surgery, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a reason why you have physical ailments the way that you do. So if you just don't allow yourself to get into debt, you don't allow yourself to go deeper into debt, the worst thing you can do when you're in debt is start your own business and think that's going to save you because it takes time to nurture that business. It takes time. It's like you're planting corn, and what you're planting today, you're not going to see the results of your work for 3 to 4 months. Some people get a first rush of clients and they're like, oh, this is so easy. I got it made. But as you know, Kim, it's a roller coaster, right? You have income that comes in and then it kind of dwindles, and it comes in and it dwindles, and it's very much like a wave function. So, yep.
Tyler says, just wanted to say I appreciate your message, and in particular, what really resonated with me is how simple and straightforward your method is. I love that too, Tyler. After just recently having taken make the decision to transition from employee to entrepreneur, I was starting to have second thoughts, thinking how overwhelming becoming a business owner was going to be. But this has helped me see that I still can have a life and be a business owner at the same time. And oh, I'm so glad, because I think I went through that as well. And I know Martina is on here, and she's really well-versed at being really efficient with her time and making sure. Hi, Martina. You know, I think that you can really resonate with some of the things that Janine has been saying.
Yes, and sorry, I came in a few minutes late, and I just switched from my desktop to my laptop because it's the end of my workday. But I just came in when Janine was talking about having a VA and outsourcing things that you really don't like doing or that you're not good at. And yeah, I am a VA and a virtual business manager. And even I like to outsource to my team members or to other, you know, for social media, which I really don't particularly like doing. It takes so much pressure off you. when you can outsource things. And then, as you showed in your calendar, Janine, work on the areas of your business that really bring you joy and that you're best at.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, knowing where your strengths are. And so for me, the very first thing, it's a joke in my family. Every time I start a new business, they're like, so when are you going to hire the bookkeeper? And I'm like, as soon as I can afford them, right? Because that's the joke. I do not want to deal with my books. So the very first thing I do is hire out the bookkeeper. Then it's the CPA. Then if I have contracts start coming in, then I get an attorney, right? I hire these things out. And I was so nervous about hiring my very first VA. I remember I was just absolutely terrified. And there's a wonderful book by Michael Hyatt called World Class Virtual Assistant or Executive Assistant, something like that. Anyway, Michael Hyatt is the author. I read that book. I gave it to the lady that I was thinking of hiring. She read the book. We were both on the same page, literally, because we'd read the same book. And I said, okay, we're going to just start with 40 hours. I'm going to pay you for 40 hours. And that's all we're going to do. I have since quadrupled the amount of work. And she is now running a team of 7 people to help me with my business.
Wow.
Yeah. But when I first started, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And people are like, oh, you had trouble letting go of control. No, I wanted to make sure I could afford her because I didn't want to get so dependent on her and then not be able to afford her. But the thing is when I started working with her, I tripled my business in 3 months.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Okay. So that's the power of having somebody else do what for you and I is what I call the grunt work. And I even told her that. I said, for me, this is grunt work. I just can't stand it. And she started laughing. And I was like, why are you laughing? I didn't realize she used to be in the Army. And my dad was in the Navy. So I was like, ooh, sorry. But anyway, so lots of fun. Lots of fun.
And really you can start for a small amount. You don't have to invest in even the 40 hours right away. Like you can start somebody at just a few hours or give them a specific task, right?
Just one thing. Like this is the one thing I need you to do. What is the thing that is so difficult for you? A lot of people, it's social media and posting. So one of the things that I love is that I just shipped off all of my books to the social media team. And I said, start pulling quotes out of the book and use whatever pictures you think are nice. And they wrote back a text and said, no problem. What's your favorite things? I started, it was very easy for me to say, oh yeah, anything that's this, and this. And the next thing I know, I have these posts coming out and people are commenting and saying, Janine, it's so nice to have you with us now. You used to never be on social media. And you just create scripts so that if people are commenting so that you're not having to go behind them and comment, you can actually hand scripts to your VAs and they will comment to those people. And so, but I'm only on social media 1 hour a week. Okay. Only 1 hour a week I spend on social media.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, wow.
But you'll see a lot of activity and a lot of action on there. And that's because I've hired 3 VAs. One works Facebook, one works LinkedIn, and one works my YouTube and Instagram accounts.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Hi, Tyler.
good planning.
Hey, so sorry, I was just gonna ask, and apologies if this is like a really junior basic question, but where does one even go to start looking for VAs? Is that at like this TaskRabbit site that you mentioned, or I'm not even sure where to go to find someone?
Right. I would start by reading Michael Hyatt's book.
Okay.
The World Class Virtual Assistant, Executive Assistant. You're gonna have to, I can't remember the exact title, but it's a small blue book and you can only get it from michaelhyatt.com. It is a little hardcover book. It's totally worth the price. I think it's $30 or $40. It's a fast read. It takes you less than an hour to read it. And then the next thing is you can go to Fiverr, FIVERR.com. And TaskRabbit is more for people locally. Like I have a whole bunch of donations that I want to give down to Dress for Success, but they're all the way down in Denver from where I am. So it's an hour-long drive. So I hired someone for $17 an hour to do the driving for me. I'm going to hand them my donations, which are about $3,000 worth of donations. put them in her car. She's going to drive them down and we're done. And I don't have to worry about anything. So TaskRabbit is very helpful physically for people who are in your area. But you can go to Fiverr to hire a VA. But then you've also got Martina sitting right here in your room, and she knows Kim. So if she doesn't do a good job for you, you can whine at Kim and Kim will like make it happen, right? I mean, so you have these people around you. Hire people you know, right? Hire people that you know, you like them, and you'll learn to trust each other. And then it will be a really solid. But Kim didn't build this community for her health. She built it so that you guys could support each other in this community. And you're here once a month with each other. So, you know, it's not like she's a total unknown.
No, and Martina actually just put another resource in the Canadian Association of VAs. And they have a directory. I'm not sure where you are, Tyler, but that could be something that you could look into. And if it's not Canada, then you know what, you could probably, you know, chat with Martina, and I'm sure that you have other resources too that you could help. And that is right. You know, this is a community where we're here to help each other. I don't have the answers for everything, and that's why I love bringing some guest experts in. Tyler, I'd love to know, what is the business that you're starting or you've started? Or
Yeah. So first of all, let me say that's great to hear. And Kim, I'm just sort of getting to know you as well, because I met you through Kathy's business cafe.
Oh, great.
Just a week ago or so, and so I've not really had the chance to explore much, but I really loved your message, and you know, and that brought me here, or to get to know you, and then here today. And so anyway, excited to learn more about this community and be a part of it. So I am just in the initial, I would say, like planning phases of getting started. I come from a background in HR operations, learning development, leadership development, and executive coaching. And my passion is helping people become the best versions of themselves. And I find myself getting frustrated over and over and over again, working inside of the corporation with all of the politics and the bureaucratic processes. And I mean, I realize that that's part of it, but that's not what I enjoy doing. And I'm finding myself doing less and less of the actual coaching and developing that I enjoy doing, and more of dealing, you know, with the politics and so on and so forth. So anyway, so long story short, nothing like, you know, a global pandemic and a significant downgrade in my role and my compensation to sort of give me the opportunity to think about what am I passionate about. So I have this vision, this plan to go into business for myself with a company called Brain Minded Leadership Academy. So I love taking insights from psychology and neuroscience and applying them to corporate leadership. So that's, and I'm also certified executive coach, working on getting my ACC credential through the ICF. And so that's what I'm passionate about doing. And I'm very much a newbie at this and just getting started. And so when I saw the title of your group, Employee to Entrepreneur, that totally resonated with me. Amazing.
I'm so glad that you joined us. And I'm so glad that you've joined us in the community as well. This is great, and that sounds like it's the perfect place for you to be. I'm glad you got the value out of the presentation I made for Kathy's group. That's great, and that's one of the things that, you know, on top of, like, I know, Janine, you have your 4 things: prospecting, connecting, follow up, and training. One of the things that I found really beneficial when I was starting my business is to actually go out and network, and whenever, as just like what Janine's done, you take any opportunity you can to get in front of somebody's audience. Obviously not ones that wouldn't match with what you do. But if somebody has an audience of your people, have something prepared so you can go and present. And, you know, that's one of the best things that I did. But then you've got to use those things after, right, Janine? The follow-up. And I also love, Janine, the fact that you said doing a monthly thing. You know, whether it's a giveaway, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to, you know, do what I'm doing, but something so that you're showing up for your audience.
Well, there's a way you need to help them understand you and like you. So just like Tyler was talking about, he saw you speaking on something else. You had a once a month gig that you do. He decided to show up, see if this is somebody I want to chat to. Not only does she have her own community, she's pulling from other communities and bringing in speakers, that sort of thing. And it's just nothing but helping. And anyone who is successful wants their community to thrive. That's like rule number one. I do not thrive as a solopreneur if the people I touch don't also thrive. And that can kind of cause me a little bit of stress as I lay awake hoping that contract comes through so I can pay my people, because we really take time to build them. It's taken me 7 years to get to this level with my business, with this particular business. And so now that I have it at this level and we're really raking in the money and I'm able to be like I am and like the lifestyle I enjoy, there's always that new project you want to go after, but you have to wait for the money. And once the money hits, then you're like, okay, now we can roll with it, right? Because I refuse to go into debt for my business. Also in the chat, I found your worldclassassistant.com, and that's Michael Hyatt's book that I keep talking about. I highly recommend that as soon as you can, hire a virtual assistant, but make sure you systemize, like make sure you get on Zoom and you walk through step by step what you want that virtual assistant to do. They are not mind readers. Martina will be happy to let you know. And they would really love you if you would give them a Google Doc and share it in a drive so that they can have that Google document that goes, I want you to do this, and then this, and then this. And they have like check marks that they can go through. And you have the video that's showing them where on the page you want them to go. And I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, this like second grade level. Won't I insult them? No, they'll be able to go faster and get done your stuff quicker because you're so organized and you have your system laid out. And they'll be like, I love working for you. What else can we do? We haven't used our 40 hours yet, right? I want to work for you. Why? Because you're easy. You're simple. You're not making my life crazy. Right, Martina?
Yes, definitely. Two things. That is definitely helpful when you start working with a new client, when they are definitely clear on what they want their VA to do or not to do, or even some tips on how you like it done. If you have a very particular method, or maybe your clients have very particular needs or are very specific in a very specific industry, or an age bracket that is perhaps more conservative and you need to be a little more formal. So if you can share that information with the new VA, that helps. I will add though that quite often when I talk to someone, they don't yet know what they want. So in that case, it can also be helpful to talk to a VA who is a bit more experienced, and who maybe is more, I'm a virtual assistant and also a virtual business manager. So I have a team who helps me with the administrative support, sort of the straightforward, here's this task, can you do it for me kind of work. And then I work with the business owners also to help them identify what that list should actually be that will give the VA to do. So, helping identify what can a VA actually do for a business owner. What could they, what other ideas could they come up with that the business owner hasn't even thought of doing yet, simply because they've not got the bandwidth to write a blog or write a newsletter, because they just don't have time, because we wear so many hats, and then we don't even think about all this creative and fun business growth, the business growth steps that we could do if only we had more time or a team who will do it for us or with us.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit of both. You can also have a conversation with someone who's experienced, or just someone who maybe like me as well, just even to point out the opportunities that are out there that you could have a VA do, or that you can maybe outsource to someone, as Janine said. Maybe it's not a VA task, but it's what you really need is a social media assistant, or the bookkeeper, as Janine said, you hate bookkeeping on taking care of your expenses. Then maybe that's one specific thing you'd outsource to someone who's maybe a bookkeeper, not perhaps a VA specifically, but just sort of knowing a little bit of what you want, and then also just asking the questions around, well, what could you do for me? What are your special skills or your interests?
Yes, I have to say that, it took me a while to get comfortable with figuring out what I needed somebody for, or what I could actually give them, because it stayed in my head for so long, and you actually need to put it down on paper. And I balked at that for the longest time. And the first people that I hired were disasters because they didn't understand what was in my head. So I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that Janine talked about earlier. There's a couple of people that came on a little bit later, and also to ask you, Janine. So it's spend 4 hours a day on your business, and those things are prospecting, connecting, follow up, and training. So
right, it's 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Good. I'm glad that's what you meant. No, that's all right. But we're recording, so I thought I would. It's 4 hours a week. Yes. And the reason I started off that system was that's all I had. I had from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. That was the only time I had available to build my business. And so I did it straight from 8 to noon, but I don't recommend that. I recommend that you break it up. And if you can, I recommend that you break it up. It makes it easier on you. Yeah.
Well, and also the prospecting, getting out there. So what is one of the tips? Because I know there's so many people when they're starting, they're like, oh, where am I going to find people? What is one tip to loosen people up a little bit?
Okay. First, number one, so many people, don't be ridiculous. Okay. I think it's just fear factor. You get into so much fear and you're just like the bunny that has the headlights, the deer in the headlights kind of look. So take a deep breath and relax and realize that you have a phone. I know you have a phone. And so you look at that phone and how many people are on that phone. And then I would like you to go to your phone company or whatever you need to do, get on to YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. I love it. You get on YouTube, figure out your phone and figure out how to download your CSV file of all your contacts from your phone to a master contact sheet. And then once you've figured that out, just start calling people and letting them know you're in business. And Tyler, since you're the token noob, okay, we're going to use you as an example. All right. If you don't mind, forgive me, but if you don't mind. And so Tyler's just now starting off. The thing is, you want to get down to 3 words, dude. What are the 3 words that define you and your business? Now, what happens to new entrepreneurs is they have so much to offer. They just keep talking and they keep talking and they go bigger and they go bigger and they go bigger. Whereas what you want to do is really specify what is the one demographic you want to work with. So I am a professional podcaster. My business to business work is with huge corporations that want a podcast, but they don't know how to do promotional podcasting. But I had to narrow down what is my business to my client or customers, and that is author podcasting. So I focus on authors that want to take their book on a virtual tour. So author podcasting. So people say, so what are you? I'm an author's podcaster. Boom. And they're like, what? Do you build podcasts? What do you know? It causes all these questions. You want the questions because if they're asking questions, they're engaged. Now, they may not care. They may forget about it as soon as you walk out of the room, but you want them in control of the conversation that way. And that keeps you from sounding like a salesman. So whenever I get on to a Zoom call, and I'm going to give you this is a $25,000 tip. I paid $25,000 to this one coach and he gave me this one tip and he told me a lot of other things, but this is the tip that really was the gold nugget for me. Somebody comes on Zoom with you, you're sitting there and you turn to them, you say, I want to say thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to chat with you today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't say a word. That's all you say to them when they come on. When they come on, you're like, hello, hello. Yeah, you know, you make sure that everything's working, right? And then you go, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you today. Wait 4 beats. If the person is a direct personality, they'll be like, okay, what do you want to talk about today? What was the agenda? Blah, 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 right? It's that direct personality. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I've got time to wasting, right? Or if they're more heart-centered, they might be like, so how are you doing today, Janine? I saw on Facebook and oh, they want to chat a little bit. All right, so they want to chat a little bit. So you chat with them a little bit until you're like getting to a point like, and they may say, so what was it we were going to talk about today? And then that's when you launch. And that's a way that they always feel in control. And you want to keep your person always feeling in control. And that way you never have to worry about coming off as salesy ever, even when you're like me and you're selling $15,000 and $25,000 programs.
Love that. That is gold.
It is gold. Yeah.
Wait 4 beats, even if it kills you.
Yeah. Well, you can't see my hands on Zoom, right? So you can't see my hands. So I actually go 1. I actually am going 1, 2. I'm doing that with my fingers just to keep my mouth shut because I like talking. That's why I'm in radio.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Janine. We have run out of time, but this is replayed in the Facebook group. So if you guys want to go back and check it out, we have great resources. I'm also going to put those into the post in the Facebook group. And this is actually going to run again on Friday so that you can watch it again and get all of those great resources that Janine has offered. This has been fantastic. I love the simplicity of it. And it's so pragmatic, Janine. Like, do these things and do them each in an hour throughout the week. And I love how you said split it up too, rather than try and do them 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually going to put that into better practice and try and narrow mine down to 4 hours and actually really be succinct and see if I can actually schedule that. And I'll have to follow up with you on that.
Hey, that would be my honor. Yep, definitely let me know how it works for you.
Yes. And thank you everybody for joining in live. Really appreciate it. Tyler, thank you for coming and joining into the group. And Janine, a special thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with us. So thank you everyone. And we'll see you on the next live. We'll take care. Bye now.